gay and queer people don't show up for Megan, despite her being a queer person that is openly queer and has discussed it from the very first second that we met her. And then with slight bitterness, with the Charlie XCX moment happening now, like, okay, so how are you guys not seeing this? You are able to relate to these stories of queerness, or it's not even stories of queerness, to relate to this like pastiche of queerness. But then there's a queer woman right here who you're not acknowledging, who you are quote unquote unable to empathize or identify with, which I find that really fascinating.
Yeah. And we're seeing it happen to a lesser degree because it's still like early days, but with Doechii, openly queer. And if you have listened to Alligator Bites Never Heal, which
give it the Grammy
top 3, but again, it's Doechii, who is, again, here's a woman who's never minced words about her sexuality, never minced words about her struggles with transitioning from Tampa to LA, how lonely that was, and how she turned to substance abuse to deal with that. And I just don't see that same groundswell of queer support for her, at least amongst non-Black gays, as we do for, you mentioned Charlie XCX, which I have to ask, and part of my ignorance here, is she queer?
No, it's like a diva worship thing. I don't even know where to begin with it. It's such a dissonance to me. Like, obviously not to hate. I'm glad to see a woman, specifically a woman who is half Asian, who's half Indian, from the UK, really hit the world and offer up something that for queer people to enjoy. I like that. Beautiful. But it hurts. And there's a rub to it.
Yeah, it is like again, Brat easily in my top 10 of albums this year. I definitely gravitate towards it, but not because of my queerness, just because it's good, fun music and a good breakthrough. But oh my goodness, I wish that there was this enthusiasm for the Black women that are really putting their necks on the line to tell true to life stories about the thing they've learned.
That is a very real statement. They are putting their necks on the line, because when a female hip hop artist or just a woman releases a song, that is going to be picked apart. Look at how we all just picked apart Cobra. A woman has to engage in reputational warfare. A Black woman specifically, that a lot of people don't. Go on.
Say that again. Reputational warfare is such a perfect way to encompass what it is that we have to go through in order to tell our own coming of age stories. Because instead of finding the relatability in our things, it's met with, why didn't you know better? Why did you do this? Are you being a good example? And this is why I afford a lot of empathy to Cardi B, who she could be the picture perfect replication of Jessica Rabbit sliding down a rose gold stripper pole proudly and just being the picture perfection of what twerking should be, what it should look like, and what sex appeal should look like. She's still fucking learning. She's still learning. And yeah, do I wish she would leave me out of her stuff with Offs? Kinda. I want to be out of the group chat, to be honest. But again, she's young. She's young. This is what this is. And she has this family. She is going through, I think, a lot of women who end up becoming single mothers, who end up putting a lot of faith in manipulative men, go through. And she's doing it on social media, and that's stripping a lot of that empathy away. And it's turning into stand-em wars. And at the end of the day, this is still a woman, a young woman who had to grow up in front of us. She started on social media. We forget that it's not like she grew up in the rap circuit. Her main claim to fame was just being open on social media and being herself on social media. And then on reality television, and then moving into music. There's a bit of a learning curve there that she's not being afforded because she dared to not like Nicki Minaj. All of that empathy just gets thrown out the window for her when all she's trying to do is just figure out how to get away from this gross man that she's now attached to forever. And again, once again, who among us has not had to deal with that? And this is why I think I, again, push for varied and rich coming of age stories that feature non-white girls and women specifically, because the more we flood the space with these stories, I think the closer we will get to figuring out our own relationship with these women and women like these in our own lives, and figuring out our own response modes in
how
these
we exist
situations.
In the world as well with each other.
Yeah. How do we make space for each other? How do we figure out how to coexist with people that we may not necessarily like, but can still maybe understand at some level. It's all just interconnected. And it would be one thing if it existed in a vacuum and only impacted like our TV schedules, but it doesn't. It impacts the music that we listen to, the politicians that we herald, the teachers and the advocates that we go towards, and like the grace we give them when they ultimately fuck up. There's so much weirdly riding on this like little sliver of genre and entertainment. And I think the more that we call out for that, it shows like a willingness to just be better people that are better equipped to handle when other people make understandable mistakes.
Yeah.